Hello. Welcome to my home studio. Today, I woke up feeling just a little stiff and tight. Maybe you can relate to that. And my joints were going snap, crackle, pop. And I wanted to share with you a very quick, very effective sequence to lubricate your joints and just help you get going overall. This is something that can be done as a standalone sequence, or it can be used as a warm up for something more intense. Personally, I think it's great just to do first thing in the morning or anytime you're having a hard time just getting your engine going. Shall we begin? Also, if you can't do this sequence with me right now, be sure to save this video for later because you're going to really love it. So, we are starting off laying down. You can be on the floor, a bed, your couch, really doesn't matter. So just go ahead and follow along, see how you feel. I'm so excited to be using my new space. Have you seen it yet? This is my home space, my home office. Okay, so you'll be in a comfortable position. You could have both of your legs stretched out like a buzzy here. I like to keep, hi friend, I like to keep my knees bent because it feels better on my lower back. So we're just going to do one leg at a time. Come over here and lay down. This is live, right? So it's real. Okay. First thing you're going to do, arms are anywhere. We don't want your neck being stressed or anything. I'm trying to look at you, so but you can just be relaxed. And so you'll take one leg, doesn't matter which one. I'm going to start with my right, and just allow it to come up to a place where you feel a gentle stretch. It might be out here, totally fine. Just a place where you begin to feel a little bit of sensation. And we're going to start at the most distal point in our feet, just pointing and flexing the toes. And so while you're here, you're just beginning to notice how that feels. You're beginning to notice sensation, and you're also taking time to not think about all the other things going on in the world. This is just for you. So from pointing and flexing the toes, you're going to start to make a nice big circle. This is where I frequently hear the snap, crackle, pop. And what happens is when you do repetitious movement in a joint, it's lubricating. So the joint has air, the air is moving out, and we're producing more synovial fluid. So go ahead and switch directions if you haven't already, and you don't have to follow me exactly. See, now I can feel that my leg is warming up because I'm working to hold this leg up as well. And from here, we're going to move into the knee. So gently bending the knee. And then, now typically you would say straighten the leg, but your leg might not be straight. It might be like this, and that's fine. You're just bringing in whatever movement is available to you in this moment. And that's going to change day to day, moment to moment, time to time. But you know when it's also going to change? Right now in this practice. Because I can guarantee you from these few little movements, you're going to notice. So let's do one more of these, and then we're going to move into the hip. See here, I've had a few knee surgeries, and so I can hear things moving around. Let me know if that's you. So here we're going to paint a big circle with the knee, and some of you might have the same thing, a grinding or snap, crackle, pop. Don't go all the way into that huge movement. Start out with a smaller one, get things going, and then move out to a place that feels a little better. Remember, we're warming things up. You're finding movements that are comfortable and getting more comfortable. Let's switch directions. And look, we're halfway through this part already. How fast is that? So after this circle, go ahead, put your foot on the floor, and just take a moment. I'm going to close my eyes. You can close yours too. We're taking a breath, and I'm noticing that my active leg feels so much more alive. The circulation is so much better. This is also good for getting your lymph moving, getting your blood flowing. And you can see how on these colder, more Vata days this time of year, how this feeling is bringing you more into balance. Now, speaking of balance, we're going to move to the other side. So, other leg's going to come out and up into the air. You can keep a soft bend in the knee. It does not need to be locked out. We don't ever really want it to be locked out. And just start pointing and flexing the toes. So as you move to this leg, it's a really wonderful opportunity to notice things from side to side. We're not judging. We're just merely observing. Now we're going to move into our toe circles. And the thing about this practice is that if you find a place that needs a little more attention, a little squeaky spot, you can do that. So we're going to go ahead and switch. So if I was just using this as my home practice, I can feel that I'm a little tighter over here from my whatever routine that I've been doing. And so I would probably spend a little extra time over here. So you find one of those little spots and you kind of delve into it a little bit. Put in a little oil on it. Let's move into our knee, up and down. Now, a lot of people, hamstrings are different lengths. That might be maybe apparent here. Are you breathing? That's one of the key components in this too, but probably a topic for another day. Just to make sure that you are as much at ease as possible here. We're going to move from this knee into the hip. Remember, moderate the size of your rotation for what feels best for you today, which might mean trying different things. It definitely means going both directions. So let's go ahead and do that now. So you could do just this routine laying in bed in the morning, or you're laying on the couch. It's really simple to just do a couple little movements anywhere. But for today, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep on moving right on up the body. So you can sit in any comfortable position. This could also be on the chair, on the couch, on the floor. If you have a little something underneath of you, it gives you a little extra mobility if you're feeling stiff. So I'm just going to let my hands rest on my knees, and I'm lifting the back of the crown of my head as if I'm holding a book on top of my head, but I'm not doing this or completely slumped over. I'm trying to lift from my collarbones. So you want to go here. You think taller, you want to lift your head up, but you want to lift from the back of the head. Just take a moment here and just have one breath. Take a moment to notice how you're feeling so we can compare and contrast with our spine. Now letting the hands drift back down to the legs, you'll begin to gently rock forwards and backwards. Same thing here. You might start off with a little slower movement, maybe a more shallow movement, and you're just beginning to explore flexion and extension in the spine. You may also choose to explore breathing in the same rhythm that you're moving. That's going to be really critical for nervous system regulation. So if you have anxiety or your energy is a bit all over the place, this is going to help you feel more balanced. And so you would inhale as you're coming forward and exhale as you're coming back. And remember, we're doing high repetitions, so we're going to stick with this for a minute. But when you're doing it on your own, you could do it just a few times if you're sitting in your office chair, or you too can also reap the benefits of seeing what it's like to do it maybe 20 times instead of 10 times. Remembering that the more repetition, the more lubrication we're bringing in, and we're also warming things up. So I can feel that I can more easily move in this posture. Now I could probably go further if I wanted to, but you know what we're going to do instead? Switch directions. So this practice is not necessarily about the arms. We were focusing on the spine for now. So we're just going to let the fingers drape on the floor and go from side to side. Now, I would like you to try and keep both of your sits bones on the floor. So you might feel like it wants to lift up. Try to keep both of the hips grounded and just noticing. That's what we're here for. This practice is for you. Now, if you wanted to include the arms, you could certainly bend at the elbow. And that's going to begin to get the arms warmed up. Now, see here, we're not even moving into the shoulder just yet. We're just warming up in the elbow. Then let's see what it would be like if we extended the arm up, brought it back down. And so at first you're thinking about that movement, bringing it up, bringing it down, coming back in, but then you just let it flow. You just go at your own pace. And most of all, you just let it feel good. So we only have a few more things before the end of our practice here. So stay with me. So remember, the lower body could be all one sequence, and this torso could be all one sequence. Now we're going to move into twisting. The thing about twisting here is we want to lengthen ourselves to create more space in the body and then move into that space. And that is being done with the breath. And so we're going to start with the sits bones. So if I'm leaning way forward, the hips are tilted forward. Same if it's way back here. We want them to be as upright as they can be and stacking everything from there. Remember, we're putting our little book on the head. And let's just take a breath here and see if we can be at a little bit more ease just sitting like this. Now slowly rotating in one direction on your exhale and allowing that movement to come from the belly, the ribs, heart center, and then the head, and then the eyes. So you're going to inhale, lengthen up as you come back to center, and exhale as you come to the other side. Now, if you were going to stay static in this position, you would continue to lengthen on your inhale and twist deeper on your exhale. But since we really want to lubricate, warm things up, and get that engine going, we're going to just keep it moving. So we're going to let the arms stay down, but they're gliding, sliding, and gliding. And your head is optional. It could stay over the heart center, or you can allow it to fully rotate, or anywhere in between. Isn't it nice to give yourself permission? Give yourself a little time. One more thing. Now we're going to go around in a circle. So we want to go in all the directions, all the planes. In life, we're always thinking about moving forward, forward, forward. Sometimes we're living in the past. We want to use all of our abilities and all of our spaces and all of our dimensions. Checking in, make sure you're breathing. And see, the thing we talk about breathing is because if you're holding your breath, that's a sign that you're not at ease. Let's switch directions. And if you're not at ease, then you're stressed. And the whole purpose of yoga is to reduce your stress. So the very first place that we check is with the breath. I'm really obsessed with the breath. I think it's an extremely important component to the yoga practice, yoga pantheon. Let's come back to center. Bring the hands in and just take this moment to check in, compare and contrast of when we did this portion of our practice together. Here I can feel that my energy is moving more fluidly in my body. I'm not feeling as stuck. I feel that my breath has a bit more expanse and overall a bit more grounded, I would say. Okay, so now we already have two mini sequences. First, we were laying down, doing the lower body. Now we were seated, doing the torso. Let's just keep it moving through tabletop. So this yet could be also an individual sequence, or you can keep moving with me, and then we're going to take it up to standing and call it quits for the day. So if you have a few more minutes, let's come on to our hands and knees and just take a moment while you're getting here to roll the wrists around. We're going to come back to them. But coming onto the hands and knees, you want the fingers spread out nice and wide. The wrists, elbows, and shoulders are lined up, and the inside of the elbows are facing one another. So you can see here the elbows can rotate a lot, and we want them to be facing each other. All right. So just like we began when we were seated with flexion and extension, we're going to do that here in tabletop. So let's take a breath before we begin going anywhere, just checking in. Hey, what does tabletop feel today? Are my knees under my hips? Then as you exhale, you're going to tuck the tailbone under, round the lower back, round the middle back, round the shoulders, and let the head drop. As you inhale, you're going to move in the other direction. I'm exaggerating my breath so that you can hear what it would sound like in a practice. Some people get embarrassed to be able to hear their breathing. I want you to know it's completely normal and desirable. And so your movement is at the pace of the breath now. See, we're settled in enough now mentally into the practice that we can focus a bit more on this. Let's just do one more in each direction here, and then we'll move to lateral. So for lateral, we would neither want to be arched in either direction. So we want to be in tabletop as much as are able. See how I say that? Because we're not all perfect all the time. So here you're just moving from side to side. You can choose to look back behind you, or you can keep the eyes closed. Same thing here. So we're just doing both sides. But in your home practice, you could say, as I could, oh, this spot over here, I can feel it a little bit more. It feels a little tighter. And so as I go from side to side, I might just lean into that a little bit extra, give it a couple extra rounds, and then go back and forth into my lateral movement. And this is teaching you to notice your sensation, to work through it, to pay attention. And see, now I can feel that it's a little bit lower, so I'm giving a little extra here. And as I come back to side, I can actually feel that it's worked out a bit more. Now it feels more symmetrical in my body. All right, let's do rotation. So, depending on how your shoulders are feeling, you could just keep a hand on the shoulder and allow this to be a spinal movement, or you can have the arms rotate and come up. Now, remember when we were just beginning and we were talking about being warmed up? Maybe you want this to be a smaller rotation at first. So that's about as far as I can go. But a lot of times if I'm warmed up, I can be all the way back here. And that just shows you the difference that these movements can make in a short amount of time. Let's go ahead and switch sides. Woo, thought that side was tight. This one, it could use a little extra attention for sure. See, it's funny how you learn things about your body. Have you ever gone to a massage and didn't even realize all the places that you were tight until they kept hitting them, and then you realize all of a sudden how many knots you have? That's kind of how yoga is. You're like, there's a spot, there's a spot. But it also gives you the tools to be able to work through those spots. Okay, last thing here. All the way around in a circle, just like we did when we were seated. So you're going to rock to one side, come down, lift up the other side, and round up. So we are connecting all the movements here. And this is a really nice one to work into those spots that you've been noticing and see what you need. And now go ahead and just do your own thing. I'm going to switch directions. So you can see how the shoulders are getting a bit more warmed up here too. Let's come back to tabletop. Give the ankles a little roll around. Tuck the toes under. Here I'm going to walk my hands back. Lift my knees up. So now I'm in a squat. Let my hips lift up. And then take my hands to my thighs because we're still getting warmed up, right? And slowly come all the way up. Let's take a moment here. Do a few shoulder circles. That's nice. Loosely interlacing the fingers and just moving the wrists around. Opposite direction. Take one, either sweeping the arms up overhead or maybe just keeping them down, hands into the heart center. Now, if you were here in the beginning of our practice, perhaps you could really sense in to the long-term effects of each portion of our practice. But even if you've just joined in for one portion of it, I bet you can still feel it. Let me know. And so as I stand here right now, I can feel that my body is much more prepared for the day. It feels more open, and my energy feels more balanced. So before, my mind was racing, but my body really wasn't up to the program yet. Now, my mind feels like it's calmed down, and my body's ready to go, and we're meeting in the middle. So these are the gifts of yoga that I want to share with you. If you've never joined me in a practice before, I want you to know what my practice is like. I enjoy having people feel so much better with just very simple things. You could even do just one of these techniques, just two of these techniques. It doesn't have to be the whole sequence. It's just taking a moment for yourself and observing, tweaking, adjusting. That's what our homeostasis is, right? We're constantly in this state of fluctuation, but we want to be strong. We want to be healthy. We want to be vital and have good immunity. That's what the immunity comes when everything else is like running well, right? So yoga is like taking the car in for maintenance, okay? And preventative maintenance too, not just when something is broken. It does both. So if you are interested in learning more about the foundations of yoga, doing it in a very gentle way, and maybe even incorporating some breath work, then I would highly encourage you to check out my foundational course, Rooted. It has 35 videos just like this. None of them are over 15 minutes. And it just gives you the basic practices to be able to sense in a safe way, like we did today, and build on your practice so that you can learn and have more tools in your toolbox. So check out my Rooted program on my website, Elevate 444, and let me know how you felt in this practice. The light in me honors the light in you. And my Buzzy and my Lily.